Thanks for staying with us, everyone. Now, there's uneasy calm in some of the 23 local government areas in Port Harcourt. The tension was ignited by the decision of the local government chairman in the state to remain in office, citing a law by the Martin Amewule-led House of Assembly members, which extended their tenure by 6 months. Now, confirmed reports from the Kalabari local government areas of Akukutoru, Asaritoru and Degama indicate that youths loyal to Governor Sim Fubara barricaded entrances into the councils to forestall the affected council chairman from gaining access. Well, the youth said they will remain until Wednesday when work resumes and dared the council chairman to come to the secretariat. But in Port Harcourt City and Obiakpo local government areas, there was a huge security presence to prevent any security breaches.
Nobody should come into the park anymore.
Well, with me to make sense of the unending crisis in Rivers State is Arise analyst Dr. Sam Amadi. Dr. Amadi, good to have you on News Night and happy holidays. Hope you're enjoying your holidays so far. Now, the Rivers State crisis seems to be developing a life of its own, redefining, what really should be. This local government's, let's start with the storming, if you like, of the some local government headquarters in Rivers State, trying to prevent those who've extended their tenure, of course, from...
Well, I think clearly it's some form of like generalized anarchy or something close to that. We've seen it build up to this, been statements by both camps, quote unquote, saying, look, dare us. I mean, we saw a statement by some politicians who say, we are going there on Wednesday, come and challenge us. And those who have said, we are coming for the creek, we are the enforcers, we're going to make sure we lock up those places. So it looks like we are building up to some kind of, dangerous outcome if somebody doesn't pull back. What is clear, though, is that maybe this is all avoidable, right? Because the fact that the tenure ends today, should end today, or yesterday, actually, normally, no more tenure. Now, what was the rationale of extending it by the previous now in contention State Assembly leadership? First is to kind of prevent the governor from probably supervising, removing, appointing caretaker committee. So at the heart of it is this fight of not allowing the governor have his way, And I've said it before, that it's a political fight and somebody lost the political fight. So former Governor Wike brought in the governor, and the governor has, whether somebody ethically says unethically or ethically, has now, gone back to be an enemy. It should take that as a political outcome and accept it. You see, the problem with Nigerian politicians, they never accept outcomes. They would like to violate the law, do everything to change the outcome. The outcome is that the person you put in, who is not a governor, affirmed by the Supreme Court, who has powers, is no longer good with you.
Yeah, you're no longer on the same page.
Political,
and you move on.
Bad outcome, but an outcome. So to now say, okay, how do we constrain him? How do we ensure that he doesn't remove my loyalty? Of course, going by the way the politicians work, governors have worked in Nigeria, they're going to find a way to remove those guys, either appoint, most likely, caretaker committee, or even do an election that totally would not be responsive, and they win the election. So I think that's the heart of this problem. Moving on, allowing political outcomes that are detrimental once they are fair. It is actually fair. And so the idea of extending their tenure to 6 months is the crux of the problem. Right. Now, what should have happened if they didn't extend? They would have gone. Like, they ought to go because the tenure is over.
Like some have gone.
Some have gone.
At least the Sim Fubara, the sitting governor,
some go.
His supporters have gone. Right?
So they should go.
They
should have accepted that. Now, they try to extend it, and by so they now run into this constitutional crisis where the matter is still pending in court, whether they have their power or not. But the political outcome is that there's going to be some kind of crisis, except they see reason and stay away. So I think that's really the point. And again, if you look at local government, the constitution is clear. The state assembly can regulate the local government, but they cannot regulate them away from how the constitution has provided for them. So they have the democratic elected, they had a tenure, and you can't have an extension of elected tenure while you are still serving. I mean, conception, that's wrong.
Yes.
Because elected tenure, the people voted for you. So if they have to change the law, assuming it could be changed as part of the powers under Section 7 and Section 8, where the State Assembly can make laws, then it has to be for the benefit of those who will be elected under the new law. So in all ways, it looks like that act of extension is both politically misjudged, also legally, arguably legally incompetent, because essentially they presumably were elected. And being elected, they have a tenure, just like the governor, for example.
And the tenure has ended.
So just like the governor has assembly said, okay, governor, we give you extra, because it's a crisis, before election, it's 6 months. That doesn't make sense. So it seems to me that we are walking into a crisis because, first and foremost, politicians on both sides, usually Nigerian tradition, don't accept outcomes that are unfavorable, but legal outcome. I mean,
and that's at the core of this, because the Rivers State High Court has said this extension is not in tandem with the 1999 Constitution.
Correct.
And so has to be,
correct.
Stepped down.
But
you have one of the local government chairmen saying, I'm not going anywhere.
Yes, because I want to protect a political outcome I want. I mean, clearly it's against Governor Wike by removing his loyalists. Of course, the tenure has ended. The governor has to populate the place, probably with his own loyalists, or through election, which he is now on ground to win. Accept that outcome. That's the problem. That's what Jonathan says. People lose election, or they're going to lose. They use INEC to rig themselves in. Yeah. And then when they couldn't, they go to court to find a way to put themselves in. So that desperation, that lack of respect for rules, and the fact that institutions seem to support them. So for example, if tomorrow the police receives instruction from above, as we saw in the days of Amechi and Goodluck Jonathan, and then suddenly, they go there and try to keep this renegade, quote unquote, local government chairman in power. They've created new front for conflict. So I think that the critical thing here is that straight line is their tenure is over. There was no rationale to extend, whether it's even competent or not, extension. Why should you have extend the tenure of those who were elected on a 4-year mandate and they're finished, just to ensure that
is it a case of, tasting the forbidden fruit? It's so sweet that you don't want to let go. Is that what's happening to our politics, whether it's in Rivers or wherever else?
It's part of it because the payout of political power is too high because of we are in your patrimonial state, meaning, look, everything is our patrimony. Look at the way of world contracts. So you get into power, you're going to be rich. You use it to feather yourself, entrench yourself. And so the notion that political power office it's easy to capture, smash, grab, it's easy. The system allows you can actually bend the system. You can corrupt assemblies, corrupt judges, you can corrupt political, even people like us, analysts. You can buy people. So that notion is at the heart of this problem. And because if people are going to get economic value from political power, then the desperation will be less. Right. And maybe people who care more about policy, about service, would be the ones who probably make the effort.
So how do we change the system in a way that is really all about service and not, some of the other perks of office that you get?
You look at history. How did countries move from predatory to settled, inclusive institutions? How do they move from dictatorship to democracy? It's 3 factors we always see. First is that, people begin to ask questions and ask real questions and refuse to be, head off. Nobody bombs them off. They ask real questions. So citizens' participation is critical. But again, realization by the elite themselves that they can't have their way. The economics doesn't make sense. So if these guys get put away and they don't get to that power, next time, that will not be a script again. But if they succeed in remaining in power, maybe federal might help them, they succeed, then that becomes a script. So we have to,
a template.
Exactly, we have to look at the demand and supply, the economics of it. It's easy to rip off the system. It's easy to torpedo everything. It's easy to hold on to power illegitimately. And that's what I'm saying. So, so leaders, in the first place, if you allow yourselves to work and accept proper defeat. I mean, it might not be ethical.
And let the rule of law
and
rule.
Simple. You assume that this guy will be loyal, and he's no longer loyal. I've said, cut the losses. That's the point. But if you must win that game, then you're going to bring down.
Very quickly, how do you solve the basket case that's Rivers State now? How do you resolve this matter?
I think we need to have the judiciary more proactive, for example, make definitive statements. We have to get the law enforcement agency, particularly the federal police themselves, pledge and demonstratively so they're not going to be part of being used to help anybody losing or winning. Yeah. And so you win on the basis of your political strength, legitimately exercised, and the legal and the law.
That's a good place to leave it. Dr. Sam Amadi, a Rise Analyst, thank you very much for helping us unpack this.